Today, I'm going to introduce you to NewsAPI, a LangGraph powered agent which does just that. Our first step is to ask the LLM to create parameters for the NewsAPI call. This includes choosing keywords and news sources. Then, we perform the API call and choose the top 10 news URLs. In the next node, we use web scraping to extract the article text to make sure it actually exists. If we don't get enough good results, an agent goes back to the previous node to try new API parameters. After that, the agent compares the article headlines to the original query and selects which are probably the most relevant articles. Finally, the top 3 articles are summarized in parallel by different LLM calls at the same time to cut down on runtime. So to use the agent, you'll first have to create a NewsAPI key, which is free, and set up your large language model. You can use OpenAI with some instructions here, or you can use open source. You also need to add your API keys to your environmental variables, either following these instructions here by creating a .env file, or you can not do that, and it'll ask that on each time you run the notebook. So that's what this is doing right here. So first, let's test your APIs. This is asking a language model about the color of the sky. Tested, it works. And this is the NewsAPI searching for something about the Bitcoin price. And then with LangGraph, we use these graph states, which store variables as we go through all of the different nodes. And we're going to define the arguments for the NewsAPI with Pydantic to make sure that the parameters are the correct type. And here, as we define our graph functions, these are the different nodes in the graph and what they do. And so as we saw in the diagram before, the generate NewsAPI params has its function definition here. And that will be true over here where we retrieve the article metadata. And then here, we're going to actually go ahead and get the text in this node. So each of these are the nodes. We saw before, select the top URLs. And the same with summarizing the articles in parallel. And as we go further along, here's the LangGraph workflow. And so here are some decisions. So this is our bits of logic where we're choosing whether we should go forward or go back. And then here is our entire workflow where we have our start point, like we saw in the diagram. And these are all of our different nodes. And those are the different nodes in the diagram. And now here are the edges. And these edges are the ones that definitely go from one point to the next. And here we have some conditional edges. This one here would make a decision on whether we should skip to the end point if, for example, we didn't have enough good URLs, or we should continue with the process. And again, we have another conditional here. This is making a decision whether we should skip to the end. And so there you have your workflow. And here we put our query. And if you go ahead and run the entire notebook, it's going to go ahead and take this one took 10 seconds actually. And this found only one good article. And here's your tilde error.